Let's talk about why you should probably still be working on your bailing. First thing first, I like to differentiate beginners, improvers, and intermediates in my training system. So a beginner is somebody working exclusively with the ball, working on their fear of falling and working on setting the foundations right for their freestanding tomorrow. An improver is somebody who has a bit of experience already, and by a bit I mean a few months or even a few years. They're working on divorcing the ball. Most of them are able to freestand for a few seconds, but they're not as straight or consistent, or they don't hold it as long as they wish. And then there are intermediates. By the time you can freestand 10, 15, 20 seconds, 75 or more % of the time, you are an intermediate. And so what tends to happen when we go from beginner to improver is that we lose the fear. It's not as tangible as it used to be because we have spent a lot of time on our hands. And that leads us to completely forget about bailing because we assume we can do it. This is a faulty logic. You want to think of your handstands as being a big puzzle comprised of different pieces. You have the alignment piece, which is how straight you can be. You have the duration piece, which is how long you can hold yourself on the wall or off the wall. We could also call that the balancing piece when you are off the wall. You have the kick-up part, which is how well and efficient your kick-up is. You have the stamina piece. You have how effective your fingers are, how good your tools of macro corrections are, your flexibility, yada yada yada. Usually we tend to only look at our handstands through the lens of how long can I hold it, how straight am I, and how consistent am I. In your journey, you will face obstacles. You will encounter plateaus where you will stagnate. The best course of action in most cases when this happens is to stop being so stubborn about improving the one piece you have had your eyes on and start looking at the others. When you improve those areas which you have been neglecting, the one that seems to matter the most to you will improve in turn. They are intertwined. And so when it comes to the improvers, they tend to mainly work on their fingers, on their balancing skills. How long can I hold myself off the wall? And quickly enough, they find themselves unable to break through the 3 to 5 to maybe even 7 second threshold. Given what we just said, the key then is to stop being so stubborn about the fingers and start refining the other pillars of their handstands. And in the process, they tend to neglect two main things. How good their kick-up is. Sure, I can kick up against the wall, so I don't really need to work on it. Yes, you do, because your kick-up is not optimal. And they're bailing. Sure, I'm not afraid anymore. I can bail, so why should I bother with that? The answer is you should bother with it until you can bail from a very committed, compromised, overshot position. It's not about bailing anymore. As a beginner, your mission is to automate your bailing so that it happens without you having to think about it, so that your nervous system can soothe at the idea of being upside down, so that you can trust yourself to bail to save yourself from a failing, falling handstand, which is bound to happen. When you are an improver, your mission is to bail later and later, so that you have more and more time to fight with your fingers, amongst others, for your handstand and hold it longer. If you trigger your bail too early because you have been neglecting your bail the moment you got it, the room for balance that you will be playing with will remain small. Your goal is to teach yourself to trigger that bail later and later so that you can hold and fight for a handstand longer and longer. This, in turn, improves your duration, obviously, and your consistency because you have a wider room for error. And once we can hold ourselves longer and more consistently, we also have a stronger basis to improve our line and make it straighter. And one of the most important drills you can work on is what I call the falling tower, which in a nutshell has you fall out of a handstand and bail later and later. And if you don't find more about this, I suggest that you click on the link below and find out about my program, The Rocket, which is an online coaching program tailored for beginners and improvers so that you can divorce the wall and get a consistent, strong freestanding handstand.